And I am now recording this. Hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have the movie up?
Let me just open it.
Okay. This is Cameron and Emmie's lovely movie script entitled We Are Brilliant, I Love You, You, I, Yes.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. One sunny day, Needles was outside watering her douchebagunias.
Oh, I'm reading the story, but it's recording. It's okay. Can we start again?
Okay.
Me and Cam are recording our story.
Oh, is that your mother?
He said, also, can you tell me when the water starts boiling or else it'll boil over? Thank you. Okay.
Okay, that was Emmie's mother, everyone. Okay. One sunny day, Needles was outside watering her douchebagunias.
Charity was inside with her children because she has children. By the way, Charity has children.
While Charity was with her children that she has because she's a mother and has children, Kale was winking at Semper from across the road.
Charity has kids, and Semper was calling the police, but for some reason the phones weren't working. What? Oh, Charity has kids.
Spesh is flexing his muscles outside while Needles is watering her Charity has children douchebagunias, and no one was looking at him at all except this one pair of eyes from the bushes nearby.
From the bushes, Spesh could hear, "We have Wi-Fi and blowjobs. Get in the van."
Spesh, craving sexual attention since he will never actually get any, ran to the van and hopped inside.
Minutes later, bloody organs were spilled onto the lawn as the van sped off.
But no one noticed. Because who gives a fuck about Spesh?
Matta was walking along the street going to high school.
Where he goes now, because he is big and old and not 8 at all, no.
Eyes watched him from the bushes.
Sexually interested in pedophilic eyes.
"Come into this bush, Matta. We have Sam," said Marina, who was homeless and scar-free. Scary.
So Matta went into the bush.
Lots of people care about Matt, but nobody really paid much attention to the blood in the hope that maybe it belonged to Needles.
Or Charity,
who has
who has
kids,
by the way. Moving on down the street, we arrive at the Tudor house, where South and Lalia and Chaos were angsting about boy bands and shit, and Ellie was peeing in their window, peering in their window, because she was peering in their window because she loves to angst and fangasm with them.
Rosetta and Stair were upstairs, doing obviously really good things.
Virginity things, though. This is Rosetta and Stair.
Because they are great people and do no wrong, and Rosetta does not give blowjobs, okay?
There was a knock at the door.
And Lali went to answer it because no one else had the strength to leave that fangirling behind.
When she got there, no one was behind the door, and she turned around and saw something running upstairs.
She followed the shadow upstairs, but when she got to the top by the window, she saw nothing anymore.
She turned around, and someone smiled evilly at her and shoved her out the window, where she fell to her death.
Charity has kids.
Everyone was upset over this, or they would have been if they weren't still fangasming about Panic at the Disco.
And they didn't even notice Lali had left.
Megan, Semper, and Thundy all sat in a house facing different walls and not talking.
Meg was thinking about horses, and Semper was thinking about hallways, and Thundy was thinking about grandparents.
The telephone rang, even though we have earlier foreshadowed that the telephones do not work.
Usually people in HGRPG Street yodel to each other.
Or Skype from their bathtubs.
But anyway, the phone rang, and it was obviously Marina.
Who does not have a voice.
So when Meg picked up the phone,
it was silent.
So she went outside and began to yodel in the hope that someone would confess to their hilarious prank.
By the way, Charity has kids.
Kids. When nobody did, she curled up in a bush and cried, listening to the faint sound of Charity talking about her kids a few houses over.
Thundy and Semper continued sitting in corners, thinking silently without words.
Because we don't think they talk.
While Meg died.
Luckily, the last thing she heard was Charity talking about her children.
Marina didn't smile, because no face means no lips, means no smiling or blowjobs.
A little further down sat Kay and Josh in their Disney Princess / Sailor Moon themed house.
Kay was cooking lasagna, and Charity has kids, and Josh was trying on the pretty dresses and playing with his dollies.
He went up to Kay and asked her what shade looked best on his lips, but when he got to the kitchen he could not find her.
He turned around flamboyantly, swinging his hips, and saw Kay's hubby sitting on the couch.
Kay's hubby? Where is Kay?
IDK, why am I not cool enough to have a name? And then he killed himself. Poor hubby, but she already has kids.
Josh spazzed out, got dressed in full detective drag, and ran outside to investigate.
But when he got outside, he saw Kay do more wifely duties, like watering the pretty plants because their house had much better garden than Needles because, ew, Needles.
Josh was pleased and went back inside, but heard a voice whispering to him.
He ran off to see if it was a My Little Pony.
But it was Marina, who sliced his dick up and suffocated him with it.
By the way, Charity has children.
Then Marina moved onto the most awesome house in the middle of the street.
Everyone was singing Our House in the Middle of the Street, although nobody knows where that song came from.
It was mostly an attempt to block out the sound of Charity's very interesting, intellectual, and engaging conversation concerning her kids.
Despite the antics of both Sam and Cameron, no children had yet made it into number 4, HDRP Street.
Zoe and Hannah were sitting in the corner sobbing, not yet knowing that their housemate, Matta, had been killed.
Sarah and Emmie sat beneath the bed, eating pasta and also crying.
Marina climbed in through the window, announcing herself as Jo.
Where am I? Sam, who was busy having sex with Josh's disembodied penis, allowed her to enter.
In she came, deciding that this time, seduction may not work. So she killed him with big, complicated words and a very good argument that everyone was too fucking afraid to fold.
Minutes later, at the very first house on the street, the faint sounds of passionate lovemaking could be heard, while Needles was generally annoying and Charity talked about her kids.
So the lovemaking.
Yeah. Kale was watching from outside because Simper had gone inside and Needles was controlling and wouldn't let him leave the yard.
And from the front yard, they could clearly see inside Leia's window.
So he began to masturbate from across the street.
But Aya looked out and saw that.
And she grabbed a towel, wrapped herself in it, and told Lulu she'd be right back to continue.
Running outside, Aya smacked Kale in the head with a baseball bat.
Sadly, nothing got hurt because it's not like anything's in his head anyway, okay?
Aya went back inside to continue fucking Lulu.
But when she got there, no one was in the bed.
She panicked and thought Lulu had been kidnapped by her sheer beauty.
So she ran outside and yodeled to the cops.
But alas, her yodel was cut short as Marina shoved a trident through Aya's body.
Giggling, Marina reeled the trident into the bushes behind the house.
While Aya gasped, never expecting to feel death because she's a mortal and shit.
Sadly, that's not true, and because Charity has kids, Aya died.
Lulu later exited the bathroom.
Exited?
Exited the
You're so
bathroom.
smart. So smart.
And wondered why her lover was taking so long.
So she
What was
curled
taking
up.
so long?
So she curled up in the bed and wrapped her body in Aya's used bed sheets and waited.
After a long time, Lulu got up, stopped crying because she's a fucking vamp, and walked to the house in the middle of the street.
She yodeled to call everyone to a meeting.
Charity and her kids, Needles, Semper, Thundy, Kale, Cam, Emmie, Sarah, Stare, Rosetta, Chaos, and South all gathered.
Marina lurked outside the window. Hannah and Zoe were late because cats.
Lulu explained the terrible things were happening on the HGRPG street, and everyone who was paying the slightest bit of attention told their stories.
After a brief spell of distraction including K-pop and panic, they decided there were only 2 ways to win the war against the brutal murders.
The first, sacrifice Needles to the killer.
Also, Charity has kids. The second, yodel at the top of their lungs for wolf tears, who would without doubt return from the grave to save the day.
They ultimately chose the former.
But after they all shoved their various weaponry into Needle's body, nothing had changed and people were still dying.
So that didn't work, but it was so worth it.
And she still lived despite various staff warnings and threats.
Charity has kids, guys.
OMG, I had no clue. She's a mom.
Okay.
So, sadly, Needles is still alive. Fuck you, Em.
Fuck you also, Cameron.
Gladly. When you're older.
So then they decided to all yodel for the dead.
So with one great group yodel,
Wolf Tears rose from the dead and shot scarves at everyone she didn't like, except for she likes everyone, so no one got hit from scarves by Wolf Tears.
Lulu welcomed her old friend, and they sent Wolf Tears out to murder the Wicked Witch.
However, Marina was far too vile, and Wolf Tears was far too dead to do much harm, so instead Marina trained Wolf Tears like a pet, and Wolf Tears became her very own